I've learned something in life that I can't ignore. Your inner growth shapes everything around you. It's not just a nice idea to post on social media. It's the truth that has shown up in my life over and over again. The world is a mirror, and it reflects exactly who you are on the inside. I used to think that if I could just change my job, move to a better city, or meet the right people, then my life would improve. But over time, I realized that every external change was temporary because my internal self hadn't shifted. My mindset, my habits, my attitude, they were still the same. And so the results in my life stayed the same too. It's easy to blame circumstances, but the reality is that the circumstances respond to the level you're operating at internally. The person you are right now has created the life you currently have. If you want something different, you can't just demand it. You have to grow into it. And that's where the hard work comes in. You have to build yourself into someone who is ready for the life you say you want. The truth is, when you work on your inner self, your patience, your focus, your resilience, you start to see things around you shift in ways you couldn't force if you tried. I think of it like tuning a radio. If you're on the wrong frequency, it doesn't matter how loudly you scream for the right station. You won't hear it until you tune yourself to match it. Life works the same way. Opportunities, relationships, blessings, they operate on certain frequencies. If you're not aligned with them internally, you won't even notice them when they pass by. I used to miss out on chances because I wasn't prepared inside. My confidence wasn't there, my mindset wasn't sharp, and my habits didn't match the success I was asking for. The moment I started investing in my own growth, everything began to change. I stopped waiting for the world to treat me differently and started treating myself differently. I started waking up earlier, reading more, surrounding myself with people who challenged me, and cutting out habits that were holding me back. And almost like magic, the world started responding. New opportunities appeared. People began to take me more seriously. Doors that had been closed suddenly opened. But it wasn't magic. It was alignment. It's not that life suddenly got easier. It's that I had become stronger. Problems didn't disappear, but my ability to handle them grew. Challenges that would have broken me before became stepping stones instead. I realized that inner growth doesn't just change what you get in life, it changes how you handle life. And that's even more valuable because no matter how good things get, there will always be setbacks, there will always be tests. But if you've built yourself from the inside out, you can face them without losing yourself. People often ask me how to get ahead, how to stand out, how to get the respect they deserve. My answer is simple: become the kind of person who commands it without asking. When you carry yourself with confidence, when your words match your actions, when your presence speaks for itself, people respond. You don't need to beg for a seat at the table. They'll make room for you. But that only happens when the person you are inside matches the image you're trying to project outside. I've learned that the fastest way to change your life isn't to chase after new things. It's to grow into a new version of yourself. The moment you shift internally, the external world has no choice but to shift with you. The version of me speaking to you right now is not the same person I was 5 years ago, or even 1 year ago. And that's the point. You should be unrecognizable to your old self if you're truly growing. If you want more, be more. If you want better, become better. If you want respect, respect yourself first. If you want love, love yourself enough to not settle. The truth is, life doesn't give you what you demand. It gives you what you embody. And when you decide to build yourself first, you'll find that the world starts meeting you exactly where you are. Not because it suddenly became fair, but because you became someone who could see, attract, and hold the blessings you've been chasing all along. I used to think recognition was the prize. That if I could just get noticed, if people could see my talent, my hard work, my potential, then everything would fall into place. I believed that once I had the spotlight, I'd finally feel validated. But here's what I learned the hard way. Recognition without character is empty. It fades as very per it comes, and sometimes it destroys when I very the person who was chasing it. I was platformed to the last for Razza Deliver, and I wanted ready to stand on it. I wanted the applause without understanding the weight of what it means to truly deserve it. And because I hadn't built the foundation inside, integrity, discipline, humility, the small wins I did get slipped through my hands. You can get lucky and be seen for a moment, but if your character isn't ready, you can't hold on to that moment. Over time, I realized that the real work isn't about being recognized. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle recognition without losing themselves. Character is built in the quiet, unseen moments. It's built in the times when no one's clapping for you, when no one knows your name, when you have every reason to cut corners but you choose not to. It's in those moments that you shape the person you're going to be, when the spotlight eventually finds you. I've seen too many people get what they wanted before they were ready, and it crushed them. They thought recognition would make them, but it only exposed them. That's why I believe in building your character first. Because recognition doesn't change you, it reveals you. If you're not solid inside, the pressure will expose every crack. I started focusing less on being known and more on being worth knowing. I began asking myself tough questions. Am I keeping my word when no one's checking? Am I working as hard when no one's watching? Am I treating people with respect, even when there's nothing to gain from them? The answers to those questions told me more about my future than any compliment or opportunity could. When I shifted my focus to character, something interesting happened. My confidence grew. Not the fake confidence that depends on people's approval, but the real kind that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. I no longer needed to chase recognition. I trusted that it would come naturally when the time was right, and when it did, I'd be ready for it. I learned that recognition is a byproduct, not a goal. The goal is to be excellent in what you do and in who you are. If you're excellent long enough, the right people will notice. And when they do, they'll see someone they can trust, someone who's consistent, someone who's not just a flash in the pan. Think about the greats, not just the ones who made headlines, but the ones who stayed in the game for decades. They didn't just have talent, they had character. They showed up on time, they honored their commitments, they treated people well, and they didn't compromise their values for a quick win. That's why they lasted. I realized that the waiting period before recognition isn't a punishment, it's preparation. It's the time where life shapes you into the person who can carry the weight of what's coming. If you rush that process, you might get to the top faster, but you'll also fall faster. And sometimes that fall is harder than not getting there at all. So now I focus on the person I'm becoming, not just the attention I'm getting. I work on my discipline, my patience, my resilience. I aim to be the same person in private that I am in public. I remind myself daily that it's better to be overlooked for a while than to be overexposed before I'm ready. Because recognition might open doors, but only character will keep them open. When your character is strong, recognition doesn't control you. It simply amplifies the good that's already there. And that's the kind of success that lasts. Because in the end, it's not about how loud the applause is. It's about whether you've become someone who can walk off the stage, go home, look in the mirror, and still respect the person staring back at you. I used to think opportunities were all about luck, being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person, getting that one break that would change everything. But the more I lived, the more I realized that luck has very little to do with it. Opportunities aren't random gifts. They're magnets, and they're drawn to the person who is prepared for them. You can wish, you can dream, you can pray all you want, but if you're not ready when the moment comes, it will pass you by like it was never there. I've had moments in my life where something big showed up, and I knew I wasn't ready for it. Not because I didn't want it badly enough, but because I hadn't done the work to handle it. It's like being handed the keys to a race car when you've never even driven a go-kart. You're not going to get far before you crash. That's the thing about opportunities. They don't come to match your desire. They come to match your preparation. The world rewards the person who's already been doing the work in the shadows. The person who's been training before the race is even announced. The person who's been building the skills, the habits, and the mindset before anyone is watching. Because when the door finally opens, it won't wait for you to go get ready. You either step through with confidence, or you watch it close and wonder what could have been. There was a season where I felt frustrated, like nothing was happening for me. I saw other people getting chances, and I kept asking, why not me? Then it hit me. I wanted opportunities I hadn't prepared myself for. I was waiting for the big stage, but I wasn't even giving my best effort in the small rooms I was in. I wanted to be trusted with more, but I hadn't mastered what I already had. That realization changed everything. I started treating every moment like it mattered, because it does. I started working as if the opportunity was already on its way, because one day it would be. Improved my skills, invest on my skills, and worked my excuclin, worked on my mindset to start making excuses. I didn't wait for the big break to start. I became that person first. When it came, I became that person first. And when opportunities did show up, they didn't scare me. They felt like a natural next step. Preparation does more than just open doors. It gives you the ability to walk through them and stay there. Plenty of people get opportunities, but they lose them because they weren't prepared to sustain them. They thought the moment would make them ready, but the truth is, the moment just exposes whether you were ready or not. I've learned that preparation is faith in action. It's telling life, I believe something good is coming, so I'm getting ready now. It's refusing to waste seasons of waiting by doing nothing. It's working on your craft when no one's clapping, showing up consistently when no one's calling your name. That's the kind of preparation that turns a random encounter into a life-changing opportunity. When I look back, every major step forward in my life came because I had been quietly preparing for it long before it arrived. Sometimes I didn't even realize I was getting ready. I was just committed to growth, to learning, to improving a little each day. And then one day, something would happen. A meeting, a conversation, a chance. And suddenly, all that unseen work paid off in an instant. That's the beauty of preparation, but it may feel invisible for a while, but when the opportunity comes, it makes you look unstoppable. Now, I don't just hope for good breaks, I prepare for them like they're guaranteed. Because the truth is, opportunities are always around us, but they only become visible to the person who's ready to see as ready to see and seize them. So I train, I learn, I build, I grow, not because I know exactly when the next big moment will come, but because I know it will. And when it does, I'll be ready, not scrambling. I've made up my mind. I won't let another opportunity pass me by because I wasn't prepared. I'll keep sharpening my skills, deepening my character, and strengthening my mindset so that when the door opens, I can walk through it without hesitation. Because in the end, the world doesn't just give chances to those who want them, it gives them to those who are ready. And I plan to be ready every single time. I've learned that you can say all the right things, give all the right speeches, and post all the perfect quotes online, but who you are will always speak louder than any words you could ever say. People may listen to what you tell them, but they believe what you show them. Words are easy. Anyone can talk about discipline, integrity, and kindness. but it's the way you live when no one's watching that tells the real story. There was a time when I thought I could convince people with my words. I thought if I could just explain myself well enough, they'd understand who I was. But life taught me quickly that words can only take you so far. If your actions don't match them, your credibility disappears. And once you lose credibility, it's hard to get it back. I started to notice that the people who inspired me, they were the loudest ones in the room. They're the ones whose lives quietly proved their point. They didn't have to keep reminding everyone of their values. You could see their values in the way they treated people, in the way they handled pressure, in the way they stayed consistent when it wasn't convenient. That's when I realized I wanted to be that kind of person. The truth is, who you are is revealed in the small, everyday choices. Do you keep your promises when there's nothing in it for you? Do you treat the waiter the same way you treat the CEO? Do you show up with the same energy when no one's clapping for you? That's the stuff people remember. That's the stuff that builds trust. When I started focusing more on my character than my image, everything changed. I stopped trying to impress people with big words and started letting my actions speak. I made sure I was the same person in private as I was in public. That meant showing kindness when I didn't feel like it, honoring commitments even when they became inconvenient, and doing the right thing when it would have been easier to cut corners. And slowly, I noticed something. People began to trust me more, not because I told them I was trustworthy, but because they saw it for themselves. Your life is a message that's constantly being read by the people around you. They're paying attention even when you think they aren't. And the truth is, your consistency, or lack of it, will always tell them more than your words. You can't talk your way into respect. You earn it by being the kind of person people can rely on. I've also learned that who you are becomes your reputation long before you ever realize it. People talk, and they remember how you made them feel long after they've forgotten the exact words you said. They'll remember the tone of your actions. Did you follow through? Did you handle yourself with grace under pressure? Did you take responsibility when things went wrong? Or did you point fingers? Sometimes your life will speak so loudly that you won't need to defend yourself. You won't have to explain or argue because your actions over time will make your case for you. That's the power of living with integrity. Eventually, the truth shows up in the results you get and the relationships you keep. I'm not perfect at this. I've had moments where my actions didn't match my words, and I've paid the price for it. But those moments taught me the importance of alignment, making sure that what I believe, what I say, and what I do all line up. It's not easy, and it takes daily effort, but it's worth it. Now I live with this simple reminder. People may forget my words, but they'll remember my example. So I try to make sure that example is worth remembering. I want to be known not just for what I say, but for the way I show up, for being consistent, dependable, and genuine. Because at the end of the day, talk can inspire for a moment, but example inspires for a lifetime. So I've stopped worrying about saying the perfect thing and started focusing on being the kind of person whose life says it for me. Because the truth is, who you are will always speak louder than what you say, and the world is always listening.